Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Welcome back to Today is My Favorite Day.
Yeah.
Here's with David Towner.
Hi.
And Bill Pienias with FinFit Life.
Yes.
Hello. We're here talking about stress again, and we do have a question for you today.
So, Bill, first of all, you're an executive of FinFit. Tell us real quick about it, and then I'll get to the question.
Yeah, you bet. FinFit Life is an organization built to help people become financially fit, physically fit, and have a lifestyle to enjoy. We feel all three of those are connected.
Awesome.
That's great.
And it's in different parts of the world. So tell me real quick, where are you guys landed
So
right
we're
now?
in the United States. We're also in Puerto Rico, and we're soon to be opening up in Canada.
Awesome.
Our vision is that people are people, and all around the world, they all have these same type of issues.
Yeah.
Typically, you want to have better finance, better physical fitness, and they want to have a better lifestyle, so we feel we can serve them
I
around
remember
the world.
you talking about Canada. You're excited about that.
I
know
am
that.
very,
you
very
should
excited.
be. All right. So, question. You're an executive. You're president of FinFit. And so my question to you is, what's the bigger stressors for an executive? How have you dealt with those stresses, being FinFit? So I'm sure it has to do with fitness in a bit. And then where have been your failures? And we'll get to that later on because we'll talk about ours too.
That's going to be a long time. I promise you.
We may have to do it in a different session. I know that for all of us. So as an executive, what is the biggest stressors for you? Because you have a lot on your plate.
Yeah, so stress as an organization is making sure that the organization is on target.
Okay.
The main goals are communicated, and we're executing at a fairly high level.
Right.
But there's also the other stressors. Is that the industry is always changing. The marketplace is getting a little bit difficult, and so it's really easy to say you're missing the boat.
Yeah.
And it takes your eye off the ball of what you're trying to accomplish. So sometimes that stress creates these diversions, and it catches your attention to different things that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things for me in calming, when you say, how do I deal with it, is to go back to the core. What am I focused on, and what am I trying to do and execute so that I can accomplish the main goal? Okay. And sometimes we may think that we failed. Like, for example, as a business, you may think that you're doing really, really well because you hit the goal, but then all of a sudden you compare it to somebody else and you go, man, why am I losing? And you just did exactly what you said you're going to do. You won, and now it's time to go to play the next game, not to play that next game right now. Does that make sense?
Yes, correct.
Absolutely.
I've done that many times, unfortunately.
Guilty as charged.
I think every businessman has done that.
Yeah. And so that stressor there, and then you have employees or partners. How do you call that?
So I'm very fortunate. We have two different sides of our business. We have agency building side, which is mostly independent contractors that are building, and they have contracts with us. And then we have a home office team that supports all of those people in some form or fashion.
So you have a team that deals with all of that.
That's correct.
HR, all that kind of stuff.
That's correct.
Okay, so what is your specific, what you have to do as the president? What is your main things that you are supposed to do?
Yeah, most of my job is now in a relationship side of the business.
Okay.
It's to make sure that, one, I'm hearing the team that's outside working with clients, what is their issues and how can we help solve those issues for them? How do we help it be easier for them to conduct business and to serve the people that they're serving? And then from a home office standpoint is to make sure that they all feel supported.
Yes.
And they all understand the main goal of what's trying to be done. Because sometimes if you try to please everybody, you never please anyone.
Doesn't work.
In this scenario is to make sure that everybody, one, knows their job and their role, and to play their job and their role the way that they're supposed to, and feel good about that.
Okay. So for you on your end of things, FinFit has not been the only business that you've been in charge of. So you were in charge of other businesses in the past, and you've ran into a bunch of different stuff that you've had. Your life in general, just on business, is stressful as it is. So from that to here, because there's been a transition for you, because I've known you for a while. Mm-hmm. So you had a transition to as a leader in one area and leading well, and then now in this business, which I know you have a different mindset in what you're doing. So tell me the transition of that mindset.
Yeah. So first off, I've seen a couple of your other podcasts, and the reality that I see is it's not reality.
Yeah.
When you're in business, it's all about how you look. It's the old Saturday Night Live. It's not how you feel, it's how you look. And the reality is sometimes as an executive, you almost have to play this fake role that this is how it's supposed to be. But the reality is, in today's world, everybody pretty much knows everything. Yes. So the reality is, are you going to be true about it and real about it? Mm-hmm. And so the difference between the old person that was leading companies and the new person leading companies, is I didn't want anybody to know I was not perfect.
Okay,
I
so
always
you had
wanted
that
to be
big
perfect. Yes, I was the king of that.
King of perfect.
How can I make you make me feel perfect?
I'm a brown quarterback. I mean, I married that
beautiful
dream
woman who's
girl.
a track athlete.
Exactly.
And she's, so I've had that part. And I realized that usually when you want people to say, wow, they never ask you how.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so what the change for me is, it's twofold. One is I have learned, I was a believer in Jesus.
Yes.
But I wasn't a follower of Jesus. It was a big difference. And one of the things is I've learned my way was not the right way, and it wasn't working. It just wasn't working.
Sometimes that's hard when it actually hits you.
Pastors get to that place too, and they kind of go, yeah.
Exactly. I've been there at some point,
Yeah, definitely.
And the cool part about Jesus is there's a transformation quality. When you actually meet Jesus, he transforms you.
Yeah.
So when he said, hey, come and follow me, not just like believe in me, but really follow me.
Yeah.
That transformation was, I'm going to try it his way. And, I've been doing that now for the last 5 years.
That's awesome.
It has totally transformed my life. It's transformed my business. It's transformed my family.
Yeah.
It's transformed all the quality relationships in my life.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing around the world, you can say, hey, you're doing all these good things. And I always say, thank God.
Yes.
The reality is if people can see that I am not perfect, but I am working towards a way of life, a principle-driven way of life.
Absolutely.
That is the principles of God.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, actually, that's
perfect
exactly
sense.
how we want to live, right?
It is exactly. Yeah.
So business. You're obviously one that works with executives and leaders and that kind of thing. So what do you see? What do you want to bring up to him? Just anything you have for him as far as the question goes.
Well, the one thing that I've seen with you, number one, is you know how to get personal and real, and when you need help, you ask. We did a thing a while ago without getting into it.
We did.
That, to me, is where I see the biggest failure in leaders, is that they get to a point where
I got it all together, like he said it was.
And they don't know how to ask for help.
Yeah.
What would you tell an executive that's in that position and they don't know how to ask for help?
I'll go back to a philosophical point.
Okay.
There's a guy named Jim Rohn,
R-O-H-N.
And I never met him, but he was one of my mentors. And what he used to say is, the books that you don't read could kill you.
Right.
And he was right, because he said, what you don't know as a leader might hurt everybody.
Right.
So the reality is, I have learned that the best leaders are not the ones that have all the answers.
Right.
They're the ones that are always asking questions.
Yes.
So typically when somebody says, who do you reach out to help? The first question I ask is, who knows the most about that?
Yes.
And you'll be surprised.
Yes.
They are willing to help.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can, I want to ask one thing that really changed my life. There was a guy named Bob Tyne. And Bob Tyne was a father, retired executive from Warren Lambert. And he used to say, I said, I'm looking for mentors. And he said, you know what you should do? He goes, try to find the people that are retired executives and ask them the questions of what would change their life. I promise you they're going to want to pour their life into you.
Absolutely.
And I said, well, why would they want to do that? And he said, because they've been waiting for people to ask that question their whole career. And now they're willing to do it. If you're willing to ask that question, they are willing to pour their lives into you. So to the point that you just said, the youngest executives are the hardest because they're the ones that think they have to be perfect.
Maybe like where you were before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The older,
almost the God complex that we have.
Yes. Almost. Yeah. And the flip side then is when you get a little older, you start to go, can I trust people with asking that question?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
I know that's where I'm at.
Yes.
And that's kind of the challenge, I think, for all of us. You want those connections. You want to have that trust. You want to have that, but also you have to be wise. I mean, Jason brought that up. Pankau brought that up, that, hey, you do have to have wisdom about who you're putting around you.
Absolutely.
Right? So with you're now doing this business. You did actually and have been involved with Jason's LifeSpring network, right?
Yep.
So you did the Delta Omega Core. What did you do there?
Yeah, I think I've done it all with him. Quite honestly.
Middle linebackers usually take down quarterbacks.
But I was faster than he was.
There you go.
Jason and I, he's actually one of my longest terms of time period friends.
Oh, okay.
So I've known him for 36 years, and we've even joked that we probably knew each other when we were born because we were born in the same hospital a few days apart.
Oh, wow.
So while he was going out, I was going in, and we were fist bumping, like that. So we're kind of kindred spirits that way. Jason has been his programs, it's all about discipleship, and it's how you walk the life. And many people don't realize that they are following something.
Yes, they are.
And we were talking about it today in service about stress and less of me and more of him and bondage. And what I have found is the lies that we believe hold us in bondage.
Yes.
And usually the lies that we believe are typically the things that we've followed, and we don't even realize we're following them every single day. I'll give you an example. Part of our company is about the body. And I've been very blessed because I had a chance to redo my life in 2019. Yeah. And in that, we created FinFit Life. And ironically, starting a new business with COVID, not the best time. You're supposed to be getting new clients. And it's
I remember you talking about that. It was
and
wild.
all of a sudden, man, you can't talk to anyone. You can't go anywhere. And, the thing about this is that, where your treasure is your heart. And most people have a heart problem that's usually connected to their finance. So we got a chance now to talk about finance. And then you got from the physical fitness piece is your body is your temple. Yes. And most people think because they don't do what I call temple maintenance, they think that they have to be this big, lifter. And this is the challenge. It's not about being perfect in perfect fitness. Correct. It's about being healthy.
Yes.
If you just went out and walked a little bit, that little principle, but in your mind you think, and as an athlete I think, if I'm not working at the gym for an hour, or if I'm not, pumping a bunch of weights, or I don't look like the model, from a woman perspective, I look like that supermodel, I'm not healthy, I'm not fit.
That's not right.
It's not true. That's a lie.
Not right.
That's a lie. So to that point is the philosophy sometimes that we believe, you got to check them.
Right.
You got to ask the questions: why do I believe this, and has it served me and others well?
Yeah, and so you have the fitness part, you have the physical fitness and the fiscal fitness.
Fiscal fitness.
So you
that's
have
right.
both of those right in there.
Right.
And then you said there was another component. So
it's the lifestyle. It's lifestyle, and that was actually where Jason comes in.
Okay.
The lifestyle to enjoy. Most people think that the lifestyle is. At the time, it was right around when the Corona beer had.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
Snoop Dogg on the beach. He's like, hey, listen, the lifestyle is
it.
Put kick my feet up and go have a Corona on the beach. And that's not a lifestyle. That's actually a vacation.
Yes, it is.
And the reality is lifestyle is really about serving. How do you serve for a purpose and serve others? And, just as we in this church is how do we have an authentic relationship to love God and love others better every day?
That's right.
Yep.
That truly is a life of service.
Yes.
Right. And so when we talk about it from a company standpoint, it's a life of service. And when Jason and I got reconnected right around that time of 2019, that was where the discipleship part of my life came in to say, how can I actually follow God's way? Because God's way is love God with all your heart and love others like as yourself. Yes. And I got to tell you, I love myself pretty good. I've been a selfish human being my whole life because it's all about me, right? But the reality is, if you learn how to love other people as yourself, it's a game changer for everybody.
Yeah. And so you've taken this whole philosophy, if you will. So let's go to the business side of it. Yep. And then we'll come back to this. So the business for you. You said you had people who are employees, and then you have contractors, correct? What do the contractors do? I mean, what do they do there?
Their job is to actually help other people.
Okay.
So they would teach people about their finances and how their money works for them, help them get properly protected, start saving long term for retirement, talk about retirement savings, and then also to educate them on how money works. Many people don't understand how money works.
That's true.
And then we have a thing that's partly called what's called our FinFit Life movement, and it's part of the story. Because when we found that when you get your body moving in the right direction, you typically have more energy. You feel better about yourself.
You do.
And long story short, the better you are, the better you can do, and the better you can perform, and the better you can actually serve.
Yes.
So we've connected the two with incentivizing people's health financially in their financial products, which is very unique.
Okay.
And then what we found is when people start making more money, they start feeling better with their health, and they have a real plan about what their finance and money's doing.
Deal.
They can actually have a lifestyle where they're not always hoarding things and working from fear. They can actually work from a different perspective.
Wow, I love that.
And that's how our company was built.
Okay, so that's how it's built.
And that's how those people in the field that are contractors, that's what they do. They help people do that.
Okay, so they basically show them what can be done.
That's
the possibilities.
What's possible.
With those three aspects, basically.
That's correct.
Okay, and then you have them around the country?
We do. We're in 44 different states.
Wow.
We're licensed in all the states, but we're in 44 different states. States. We're also in Puerto Rico, and we're soon to be in Canada. So what we've actually done is we've said, listen, people can become part of the movement as clients, but they also could become part of the movement as an agent too. Where if they really wanted to potentially have a second career, or they wanted to learn to change careers, we can actually teach them how to do that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. So there's people out that we could, because I've had a couple of people actually ask about what am I going to do next? That kind of thing.
And we're looking for the right type of person that has the right character. We have
so tell me about that. What does that look like?
So we have 6 core values, and I won't go through all of them, but there's 3 that really stand out. For you have to have results. You have to be focused on. You got to get some results.
Absolutely.
But we want you to be a lifelong learner. Okay. We want you to have grit and hardworking. We also want you to be able to do the right thing the right way, and that is a decision to be made. And when you think about those things, those are core. When we're interviewing someone for our company, they have to have those, because if you're going to deal with someone's money, they're going to actually ask you to speak into their life. We want that character principle to be part of that conversation. Because if it's not, all we're talking about is money, and guess what? There's millions of ways to make money. As you know, they say the root of all evil is money. It's not. It's the love of money.
Yes,
and unfortunately, sometimes we do everything for money instead of for the other things.
It's the love of money over God, right?
That's right.
But people get all mixed up on that. They think that money is evil, and it has nothing to do with that.
Not at all.
It's not at all. It's actually something, it's a tool to be used for God, in our perspective, God's glory. How do we do this? How do we?
That's right.
And so what do you want to see from FinFit? What would you like to see happen and make it a difference? Because I joked with you. I said, you're the pastor of FinFit. That's basically your job.
I feel like
So
it's my ministry. It really is my ministry.
It is. So what do you see?
So I'm going to break it down into basically 3 different areas. The first one is what I'd like us to see as results of people that are clients of ours. Is that they become more healthy, that they become more fiscally disciplined and understanding what their money's doing, and that they have more security on their future. So when they retire, they feel that they can retire and do the things that they always dreamed about doing. And most of the time, it's not just to play golf, because everybody I know that plays golf, they go, you can only play golf so much. When you retire, you got to go do something else. So that they would serve, they would do other things. That's the first one from a client perspective. From a business perspective, of the people that are associated, I want them to become better business people that have better character, and that they use the things of gain in their business as a resource to help other people.
Wow.
There's too many times business can be very selfish and it can be very egotistical. Look at me, I have more money, bigger car, bigger house, nicer suits. When the reality is business is really designed to serve.
Yes.
And if we can have better business people that are serving people, that's a great thing. And then from a company perspective, we want it to be known as principle-driven company, so that everywhere around the world that they would know that these things matter, and that we're a company of character. We don't need to be the biggest. We don't want to be the biggest. But what we want to do is we want to serve the people that we serve the best way possible. And I want to be known as that. So when we die, I want people to say, FinFit Life totally changed my life and my family's life by focusing on these principles. That's right. That would be my legacy.
You also have done some things where you've built into people in your business, correct?
I have.
Using Jason's materials and things, and the way he does it. So tell me a little bit about that. Because I know there's business people who are watching this going, how do I do that?
That's a scary moment. We talked about it. As you can tell, I'm even squirming a little bit in my seat here.
No squirming there.
Very uncomfortable. The hardest part, first off, is to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow God's way, not my way. And the second is, not being perfect is okay. So sometimes when you're working with somebody, you let them in too much, and you can feel that they could use you or manipulate you, or they could start preaching and saying things outside of it. And I'm saying preaching to the choir of people going, I didn't like that guy anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'd have the fuel to say,
that's always
see,
a
he's
fear
not.
for anyone leading,
What I have learned is that as my anxiety goes up, I actually have a physical movement. I have to say, God, this is yours. It's bigger than me, and you know what? It means I can't control it.
Do you actually use this picture, kind of a picture for you?
Mary Ann will say, you're doing it again. Because there will be times I'll wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and my anxiety is my heart's beating. And I would just be like, God, I got to give it to you. This is,
That's good, because I do, what I do is I'll sit on the ground in my office. And so some of the people in our office would come by, they see the window, they'll walk away.
Yeah.
I just sit on the ground, take a verse, in my head, and I just start doing breathing exercises. We talked with Dr. Sosa, who's a chiropractor, and I learned that in college. My coaches told me that this is what you need to do: slow yourself down, because I was a jumper, to run down the runway and make sure you're doing everything precise. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so for you, this is kind of
that's my mechanism to just say that, God, that you're, but there's a bigger meaning in the discipleship program that actually I've learned, and it's to be trustworthy.
Okay.
So when I share and you share, and Sam actually just mentioned, there was a couple things that I've asked him, and he spoke in my life and actually showed up, and there was some real things that I shared that I wouldn't want everybody to know.
Correct.
Right.
The reality is the trustworthiness of friendship is built on that principle.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so the good part is the people that I was most afraid of that could use it against me have not only become some of my dearest friends, but we've been able to walk through a lot of the trials and tribulations to say, you're not by yourself. I got you. And you know what? It's us.
Yeah.
It's us. And as the enemy, and the enemy is always there, whether it be the world and trying to be better than what you really are, to make it, fake it till you make it type scenario. Mm-hmm. Or the other part is that where the enemy comes on and saying, you're not worthy. And guess what? You are by yourself and nobody's there to help you. Yeah. Look at all your friends even turn their back on you.
Right.
That's the opposit of
which
what
one have
discipleship
you fallen
is.
in? Which one have you fallen into when you see that?
Ironically, it's kind of like the push-pull thing. When the push doesn't work, then they pull. So you ever watch that when someone goes, here, hold this, and you hold it, and you let go, and it smacks them in the face?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've gone both ways.
Yeah.
I've learned that when I can stand, I was actually sharing this with Jason just yesterday. I've learned the verse when it says, when Jesus said, stand and turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
Most people are like, hey, don't be violent. I think that sometimes God wants you to be on the attack mode, not on the defensive mode.
Jesus turned those tables.
Exactly. But the reality is to stand firm on the principle. Yeah. And even if someone hits you, to say, here's the other cheek, because I'm not moving.
Yeah.
I'm standing firm on this principle. This is it.
Yeah.
And part of that principle is, you know what? Tough times are going to come.
Yeah.
But we've got a God that's bigger.
Yeah.
And more importantly is, I love you. I know you love me. Mm-hmm. We're in this together. Yeah. Let's go move forward. And that in itself is part of that discipleship. And what I've learned through the courses of going through that discipleship with
through the Omega Delta courses,
exactly
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I wanted to talk to you about the business. There's other things we could do at a different time, but here I wanted to kind of just see where he was on the business. Yeah. Do you have anything else for him on the end of it?
You did mention one thing. You advised people to get with senior retired people and to ask questions. Mm-hmm. So John Maxwell's one of his famous books is Great Leaders Ask Great Questions. Can you leave us with a question or two we should ask a mentor that we may not want the answer to?
I will leave you with two questions that I have found were the most interesting of what you hear. That you get most unexpected things. The first one is, what was the biggest challenge that you faced growing up, and why?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And you'll be surprised at what they'll tell you. And sometimes they'll tell you very personal things. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'll tell you very surface things. But the reality is they're going to tell you something.
Right.
They're going to tell you something, especially if they're on the back end. Yeah. They're not afraid to tell you what they're at. The second question is, who are the books and people that you met that shaped your life? Mm-hmm. And then the last one, which is the most important question. Let me rephrase it. There's two questions, and they go hand in hand. Who do you know that I should know?
Okay.
That question from a networking standpoint is, they will tell you, you probably need to meet this person. And then the next person is, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Right.
And when you ask those sets of questions, they all come from a serving heart. And that actually, I learned that from John Maxwell.
John Maxwell. Yeah.
That's a great question. I love that. That was awesome. All right, Sam, set us out.
So this has been Today's My Favorite Day with Bill Pienias and Pastor David Towner, Sam McKeown. Live intentionally, be very blessed.
Bye.
Thank you, partner.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD. Today is my favorite day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Balt. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.